Good morning, fellow mathematicians. Welcome back to another video. Today I am tremendously excited because I asked for the purpose of doing a bunch of stuff in STEM and CAD with my students, Uniformation, if they would be nice enough to provide for me and my class one of their 3D printers, and I am immensely excited to unbox this one today, try it out with my students and give you a proper review of their GK3 Pro machine. I can't wait, let's get right into the meat. They also provided me with a washer, a curer and also a bit of resin to get started. So let's not waste any further time. Let us dive right in, shall we? Here's the knife, let us go. That looks cool. Looks a bit like a futuristic microwave. That is nice. That is looking really damn cool. Can't wait to try this one out. That's the Detour, by the way. And this right here is, canonically speaking, the washer, where you wash your resin 3D prints. Before we get into the review though, just a quick thanks to Uniformation for being such amazing people and provide me and my students with those machines. It seriously means the world to me that I can bring STEM together with 3D design and also CAD work and manufacturing closer to my students starting from a young age. Without companies like Uniformation and other companies that I have worked with in the past, something like this just wouldn't be possible on a regular basis because schools in a normal case don't have the budget to provide their students with something like this, especially when it just comes to doing clubs and the like, which is just free to join and not in the regular curriculum. So once again, thank you so much Uniformation for being such a badass team and such a cool company. I'm not going to disappoint you. I'm going to create a lot of cool stuff with my students with this GK3 Pro 3D printer. Looks fantastic, absolutely futuristic. And now we are going to dive right in and just do the first prints and the like, and then more information about the machine, how it works, the wavelength of the light, because it's really special for this machine, and so on during the review. Let's go. Alright, so let us start with some first impressions. When I pulled the Uniformation GK3 Pro out of the box, it immediately looked and felt like a machine designed for precision. The construction is pretty rigid, the enclosure tolerances are tight, and the internal layout is clean and intentional. As far as the assembly is concerned, it was an absolute no-brainer. In a matter of minutes, the machine was set up and ready to go. The UV blocking lid has a satisfying weight to it, the Z-axis feels mechanically solid, and the touchscreen UI is actually polished, which isn't always true in the resin printer world. This is clearly not just a hobby-grade resin printer. It looks structurally more like something built for small labs, prototyping studios and engineering workflows. Looks way better than many other of the 3D printers I have used before. A simple example is the auto resin dispenser, which makes it nigh impossible to use the wrong amount of resin for your print. An amazing feature, I just love it. There's the auto feeding function, that is cool. And with only 10 minutes in, I was already starting to print my first project. This was by far the quickest initial setup I have ever encountered on any 3D printer, be it resin or filament. That was amazing. A mind-blowing experience indeed. There we go. I let it run overnight and it's looking pretty good. Yes, sir. I'm going to just hang it sideways. And later I'm going to cure it, so just for like 15 minutes here. I think I tried it out before, it's supposed to go here. And now we can just stick here for a bunch of minutes. I'm not going to use the washer yet, just because this is not water washable resin. that they provided me with, so I'm just going to let it hang here. I'm going to lose a little bit of the resolution and just overall quality, but that's not the point right now. I just want to see how good it looks overall. Okay, I just let it stick here, be right back. So I cleaned it off a tiny little bit. It's not perfect, but it is what it is right now, and into the curer it goes. Really doesn't matter how you put it in here because there are light sources all over the place, so this should turn out well, I think. No matter how I put it in here. Yeah, just gonna put it in here, close the lid, and then we are going to let the fun begin if I find out where the display is. Oh, that is cool. You can only see the display once. It's on. So I guess as for the settings, I'm gonna let it cure for 9 minutes, really doesn't matter. Oh. The curing, what? My daughter is talking in the background. If the curing is done. Yeah, looks pretty good and doesn't smell strong anymore. That is nice. Very solid, a lot of infill. Nice. Feels very high quality. Look at that. That is a really good resolution. I'm very satisfied with that. That is cool. That turned out very nicely. Okay, I'm already on the next project. Let's see how it works out. Now the GK3 Pro is a so-called MSLA printer, which stands for Masked Stereolithography. That's a mouthful. But what it basically means is our printer has an LED screen. We have our resin reservoir at the top, and the LED screen is going to basically blast our resin from the bottom with UV near light. Here we have 385 nanometers of light instead of the usual 405 nanometers. And if we take a look into, for example, G2 box, which is a slicer that I use for this printer, you can actually, if you slice your project, see all the layers and how they are gonna be constructed on top of each other. So if we just take a look at this layer, for example, right here, all the black parts are gonna be our LED screen being shut off, and only the parts of the model which are in this layer are gonna be blasted by the LED light, the UV light, which is going to let all the polymers cure, and then we have a chain of polymers which are going to stand strong and where our next layer can build upon. And this is actually a really cool technology, because instead of using a laser light which goes through each and every pixel once on each and every layer, what we do is we just blast light upon the entire layer, curing it for a few seconds and moving on with the next one. And then you can print like 10,000 layers in a matter of 10 hours and get high quality, very high resolution prints, which is absolutely amazing. And when it comes to the 385 nanometers light, I would like to take a little physics detour and tell you about why this is actually really cool and really important to have something like this as being some kind of new technology. Uniformation aren't the only ones which produce 385 nanometer resin 3D printers, don't get me wrong, but they did it very well here, and I'm actually really satisfied with how it worked out. More on that later. Now I'm gonna take it slow here because you might be a casual viewer, not well versed with physics. But it's important to understand why the GK3 Pro with its 385 nanometers wavelength is actually better than some other 3D printers in many ways. So just hear me out. You are at the beach, just imagine that, and there is a set of waves coming at you. We got two types, those ones. Now think for a second, which of those sets of the waves would you be more tempted to get hit in the face by? I bet you it's this one right here where we have the maxima of our waves more apart from each other, because if you get hit by a wave, you can stand up once again and wait for the next one to come. This one over here is a bit critical. You get hit in the face multiple times, one after another. And this is basically exactly how electromagnetic waves work, just like the UV or near UV light that we use in an MSLA printer. Now, let us draw the scenario out once again with the waves that are pretty close to one another. Now, at first, what we are going to categorize here is the physical construction of a wavelength. It's just the distance between two adjacent maximums of our wave. This right here is the wavelength. We are going to use the symbol lambda for it. L for length, lambda. This is where it comes from. Now, as mentioned before, this one right here is the one that you wouldn't want to get hit by on the beach. Why? Because it carries a lot of energy. That's a lot of stuff coming your way one after another in a very short amount of time, you could say. And this is why we can say that the energy that the electromagnetic wave carries, or the energy of a mechanical wave too, is proportional to 1 divided by the wavelength. Because the closer the wavelength gets, so the closer those maxima are together, the more energy it carries with it. So the smaller it gets, the bigger our energy gets overall. This is inverse proportional. This is what we say in mathematics and physics. Now, there's also another thing that the energy can depend on when it comes to the waves. This right here is just basically the distance aspect, so the dimensional aspect, but we can also have a timely aspect of waves, where we can categorize, if we take this to be the time it takes for one whole rotation on the unit circle, this is what we call the period time, capital T. Now, once again, if the period time is low, so the maxima are closer together, then that means that our wave is going to carry more energy. Once again, our energy is also inverse proportional to 1 divided by T. And 1 divided by T is something that you are familiar with. This is the so-called frequency of our wave, for example, mechanical or electromagnetic wave. Okay, so far so good. How does this help in our case? Now we have found out that if our energy is high, then it must be either inverse proportional to our wavelength, or it must be proportional to our frequency in some kind of way. Now, there is a general formula for the energy of an electromagnetic wave. This energy being some constant, it's called the Planck's constant. It's just any arbitrary constant of photons. So this right here is the photon energy, if you take light particles, you could say, times, and in the general case, what we do is we just take our frequency f right here. So there's the connection here. So our energy is directly proportional to our frequency. But we can also turn this into the language of lambda right here, but we need to fiddle a bit around with that. Now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the velocity of our wave. The velocity in general is just the change of distance over time. So it's basically s divided by t. Now, what is the distance that our waves basically travel? If we say that it travels a distance of 1 wavelength, then how long does it take? It takes exactly 1 period to do so. So lambda divided by t is a general formula for the velocity of a mechanical or electromagnetic wave. Now, in the case of electromagnetic waves, what we like to use is c, because this right here is the light speed in the medium, for example in the resin that we have. And remember, 1 divided by t is the same as the frequency. So you could rewrite this in some kind of way. But if we do so, we are going to get that the velocity of our wave is equal to lambda times the frequency. And now we have a nice connection here. We can substitute our frequency for c divided by lambda. And with that, we also get a connection of our energy of the wave being equal to Planck's constant times the velocity, the light velocity or the velocity of the electromagnetic wave in said medium, like the resin, divided by lambda. And here is where the inverse proportionality really comes in. You can clearly see it in this formula, not only with this empirical argument that we did right here. Now, what is going to happen if you plug in a big number, for example, 405 nanometers? Then you get a number out which is kind of low. But since it's inverse proportional, the smaller our wavelengths get, so remember, at the beach, more and more waves coming your way, this energy actually gets bigger. So if we have 385 nanometers, we actually get a pretty significant increase in total photon energy that our light source can provide to our photo initiators, which are part of our resin, which can later bond our monomers together to polymers. Next up are two classical tolerance and resolution tests, which I always do on my 3D printers, where we start off with a detailed Sierpinski pyramid model and after that an articulated dragon. Yeah, looking pretty good. A lot of detail preserved on this one. Yeah, not looking too bad, the Sierpinski pyramid. There are a bunch of things that I would still need to tweak, like not printing it directly on the build plate, but that's a matter for another day. But yeah, looking pretty good, pretty satisfied. Here's a 3D printing classic that finished while I was out of the house. You are probably all familiar with the articulating dragon. Now, why is this a good one to test out? Well, it's an articulating figure, so it needs to be able to move. This is what we got here. It's a very small print. I kept it pretty small on purpose to see how the tolerances work out on this machine. Now I just need to get it off, but I can already see that it does articulate quite well. There we go. Yeah, it does move freely. Perfect. That is very nice. Look at that. And it's on a small scale, so all tolerances have been met. It just works out very nicely overall. Now I'm going to let it cure. I sadly can't wash it up until now. I'm still waiting for the alcohol to arrive here to actually wash off the resin. As mentioned before, it's not water washable, what they have sent me, but this is not a problem at all. I'm just going to cure it how it is, and we are going to see how it articulates after curing. I could already feel it when I brought it out. Obviously the articulating part is gone of the dragon. Yeah, that is obviously my fault. You can still see the resin down here. It just solidified once again and now I broke it. So that's kind of a failed attempt here, but that comes not very much as a surprise. I thought that this might happen. Okay, yeah, just is what it is. So, note to myself, do not cure those models without washing them before. Now next I would like to go on a little chemistry detour. I'm not a chemist, but I can try to explain as best as I can with a tiny little bit of a physics analogy, because it's kind of the same with those MSLA printers, the masked stereolithography printers. I need to practice this, it's a mouthful. Now, what is happening in here? Just imagine we have this goo right here, this resin, which is kind of similar to the stuff that they used in Prometheus to awaken the xenomorphs. Now, in this resin right here, we have so-called photo initiators. Photo initiators, if you just break this word up a tiny little bit, you need light to initiate something. They are going to absorb the photons, and our photons have a lot of energy because of the 385 nanometer light source that we have in our LED screen. Now, what is going to happen if they absorb the light? They are going to turn, roughly speaking, into radicals. And what are radicals doing inside of your body, for example, or in general? They are pretty bitches. What they want to do is they want to take stuff away from other atoms, elements whatsoever, which are close to them. It's just like alpha radiation. Alpha radiation is just a helium atom without the 2 electrons, so it's just the atom's core, which has 2 protons and 2 neutrons. Now what happens if we take such an alpha particle and bring it close to, for example, hydrogen? Well, it wants to rob the hydrogen of its electrons. And that's exactly what the photoinitiators do once they turn into radicals. The radical, now missing something, whatever it is trying to cling or attack to anything else that is in here, for example, acrylate. Now it's going to start bonding to those resin particles that we have in here, trying to bond, for example, to electrons. I don't know, I'm not a chemist, as mentioned before, but it's the same analogy with the alpha particle. Then, if they cling to, for example, such an acrylate or monoacrylate or polyacrylate, whatever they are called, they are going to start chaining together because it clings to something and then the something is missing something. It clings to another something and so on, triggering a huge chain reaction where all those monomers that we have turn into polymers. They start chaining up. And this is where our gray goo turns into hardened resin. This is where the curing process starts. 1 layer at a time with those MSLA printers. And as mentioned before, they are really good at doing so and producing high quality prints because we take 1 layer at a time, but many layers, more layers that you can possibly recreate with any kind of filament printer like the bamboo one. And this overall allows for some really high quality prints with a lot of layers, which look basically perfectly fine once they come out of the printer, as previously shown with my little Totoro or the Sierpinski pyramid, which can be printed with such high resolution such that you can see even the smallest of triangles or pyramids. It's awesome. And not only are those going to be high resolution, no, they also allow for some really high tolerances. And this is where it really shines. Remember the articulated dragon that didn't work out? I did a rerun at my school with my students in multiple colors, black and gray, and we also did a transparent resin, and just look at that, it moves perfectly. It's so articulated, it's awesome. This is why I love resin 3D printers, because they allow for some really amazing shit, which you just can't fulfill with a filament printer. Each machine has its own purpose, and it does a really good job at creating stuff like articulated figurines or just figurines in general where you need high resolution. Paulina? Ist das Pferd schön? And with the GK3 Pro, you are actually forced to use shallower curing depths due to the lower wavelength. It might sound a bit counterintuitive at first because we discussed that it carries more energy, but there's actually a physical and chemical reason for that. And the reason for that is the empirically derived Beer-Lambert law. And what it basically says is that the intensity of light which reaches a certain depth inside of a medium, for example the resin that we are using, is exponentially decaying, just like with radioactive decay. And for the Beer-Lambert law, it holds that the intensity is actually mostly dependent on our absorption index alpha, and this is equal to the original intensity of light that we have. We are going to call it I0 times e to the negative alpha times z, where Z is the depth of our resin that we can penetrate, or a medium in general. So in short, it has been experimentally proven that the light intensity is decaying exponentially the more something can absorb light, you could say, just like our resin. And intuitively speaking, it does make sense. If you blast those photopolymers or the resin with light of more energy, then obviously they are going to react even heavier than before at 405 nanometers, for example, meaning the absorption index overall is going to become bigger. It's going to increase. And what is going to happen to such an exponential function? Well, basically, if we have a pretty small alpha, our exponential decay is going to take way longer than if we increase our alpha right here. It's going to have a more rapid exponential decay. This is just the analysis that you find. Just plug in some numbers for alpha, play around with decimals, for example, and you're going to see exactly this result here, where this right here is our light intensity, basically, which is dependent mostly on alpha and also Z. Yeah, and this is just what's going to happen. And this is basically the main reason why we need to take shallow steps overall. It's just this empirically derived law. So it has been derived using experiments, and it has been verified over and over again that it happens like this. Now, too long didn't read what is going to happen overall. Imagine you have 405 nanometers of light. This means that you can penetrate more deeply. This also means that you have less layers, meaning you have lower resolution overall the deeper you go, obviously. So with 385 nanometers, you are actually forced to take shallower passes, which results in a more detailed print. But also, since we blast the photopolymers with more energetic light, it also means that we can cure them faster. So even though we need to take smaller passes, shallower passes, it actually results in the same or even lower printing time than with 405 nanometers, which is absolutely amazing in my opinion. And I really felt it when using the GK3 Pro. It was a wonderful experience. Now, I was able to fiddle around with the GK3 Pro for the last 1.5 months by now. And when it comes to the overall speed and just the print quality, there is nothing I can say negatively about it. The first layers obviously take a bit of time to cure. So we need a thick layer at the very start, such that it can really bond to our building plate. But after that, we really have rapid layers which only take like 2 to 3 seconds per layer curing time, which is absolutely exceptional. Due to the high energy, it just makes curing really, really fast. Overall, what we also can notice here is, since the layers are so small and light is only going to penetrate for a very short amount of time, we don't have any light scattering, you could say. So we don't have any so-called bleeding of our structure under the condition that you use supports correctly in your slicer. Just generate them automatically using G2 box, and then you are basically good to go. So overall, when it comes to the speed, the printing quality and everything with this printer, I'm just really, really satisfied. There is not much to complain about. I had a bunch of failed prints, but this was either due to me forgetting the support material or me forgetting to use the auto refill feature for the resin bed. So this is just something that happens, and it wasn't the fault of the machine in and of itself. So yeah, most of the time, if something failed, it was totally my fault. Just one tip for beginners, and I totally messed this one up. I don't know why I forgot it. Use the auto leveling feature that this machine comes with. When I did my very first print, I heard a loud plopping noise. And this plopping noise was due to the plate not being perfectly level with the film which disconnects the resin vat from the LED screen. It got too close, and during the curing process, it punched a little hole through it, resulting in the bleeding of the resin on the LED screen, which wasn't a big deal because there is a screensaver on there, a transparent one. So there was really, really a saving feature right from the start. So props to you guys from Uniformation. You really saved the day here. But just as a little side note, run it to make really sure that you can use those PPE screens, I think they are called, for a long amount of time. Now finally, what can I say about the GK3 Pro? It's a crazy good printer. I had crazy good results with it. It has a lot of speed. I really like its professional look, how it feels. It just opens up and closes so nicely. The UI is straightforward, but it says everything that you need to know. It's very professionally designed. It has a great UI. I really love the vertical feature that you can clip it off and just put it to the side here. It really makes drying those prints off very easy for all intents and purposes. And the 385nm light really doesn't change day-to-day workflows, you could say. Even if you are used to 405nm and you basically include this in your print farm, it really doesn't change anything apart from the settings in your slicer. But they are already set up in there, so there's really nothing that's changing. Just use the correct machine in your slicer and you're gonna be good. Other than that, the machine boots very quickly. It's up and running in a matter of seconds, and the Z-axis moves very smoothly. I have seen other things before, like the Elgu printers. They're kind of rubbish sometimes when it comes to the Z-axis, and you always need to lubricate them. So yeah, there was a bit of a mess. But here everything works perfectly fine. And oh, this is very important. You nearly can't smell this printer because of the filter that we have right here at the back. Very, very odor clean. Now I can smell it obviously, but in the normal case you don't smell anything. And the auto resin dispenser is also a great feature. It just uses it at the start and you always have resin at your disposal. So overall, in my book, this is the best resin printer I have ever used, and I would love to use it more for myself and also for my students to get more high quality prints out that we can even use for other purposes, like for example our drama club, for example. Maybe we can design some little figurines or maybe some mascots or the like that we can use in place. We will see about that. Maybe there are more projects coming in the future. Should you buy the machine? Really depends on what you want to do. You've got the funds, you want to create some miniatures, engineering parts, maybe some dental things, maybe you want to create a new tooth for yourself, I don't know, then this printer right here is for you. Check it out over on their website. Currently they are running a Black Friday sale with a lot of giveaways and also other stuff, so just check out their website. I already made a short on everything that is going on over there right now, so check it out, support not my channel, but their course a tiny little bit more. And once again, I would like to thank Uniformation for being so kind to me and also my students and providing us with this printer, some resin, and also the curing and washing station. That was so nice of you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Other than that, I hope you did enjoy this different kind of review with a few physical aspects. And if you want to see more of that, then let me know what you think and I might post more reviews of that style. And other than that, subscribe to the channel, check out Uniformation's website, check out their Black Friday deals, and other text video. I wish you guys a flammable day. See ya!